Darkness, pain, confusion. Those were the first sensations that greeted me as I slowly regained consciousness. My head throbbed, a relentless ache that radiated through every fiber of my being. It took a moment for my surroundings to come into focus, the blurred images sharpening into the cold, sterile interior of my car. I tried to move to assess the damage, but my body felt like lead, unresponsive to my commands. Panic welled within me as I realized that something was terribly wrong. A crushing weight pressed against my chest, making it difficult to breathe. My limbs were numb, as if detached from my body. The acrid smell of burnt rubber and gasoline filled the air, a nauseating reminder of the collision that had brought me to this nightmare. My memory was hazy, flashes of headlights, screeching tires, and the sickening impact playing like fragments of a distorted film. A voice broke through my disoriented thoughts, muffled and distant. Panic surged anew as I realized that I couldn't respond, couldn't make a sound to alert the person outside to my consciousness. "Hey, can you hear me? Help is on the way." I strained against the fog that seemed to envelop my mind, desperate to muster even the slightest movement, but my body remained unyielding. The voice grew fainter, a fading lifeline slipping through my fingers. Time lost all meaning as I teetered on the precipice of darkness. I yearned to move, to call out for help, but my body was a prison, an immobile vessel that trapped me in a world of silence and isolation. The wailing sirens grew louder, the cacophony of sound discordant with my silent scream. I watched as shadows danced beyond the cracked windshield, the world outside continuing its relentless march while I remained trapped in this limbo of pain and fear. Footsteps approached, heavy boots crunching on shattered glass. The paramedics were here, their presence both a lifeline and a source of heightened tension. Every fiber of my being screamed for them to notice me, to realize that I was still here, trapped within this broken shell. The car door creaked open and a rush of frigid air swept over me. I could see their figures now, silhouetted against the flashing lights of their ambulance. They peered inside, their faces etched with concern as they assessed the wreckage. "Looks bad," one of them murmured. I wanted to shout, to scream, to do anything to get their attention, but my vocal cords remained stubbornly silent, my body an uncooperative vessel. As they worked to stabilize my neck and assess the extent of my injuries, my frustration and helplessness grew. I focused every ounce of my energy on the tiniest twitch of a finger, the faintest flutter of an eyelid, anything to show them that I was still conscious, still alive. The paramedics communicated with each other in urgent whispers, their movements quick and practiced. They attached electrodes, inserted IV lines, all the while unaware of the desperate battle being waged within my paralyzed form. One of them leaned close to my ear, his words a distant murmur that I strained to hear. "Hang in there, we're going to get you out of here." Tears welled in my eyes as their gloved hands worked meticulously, their dedication to their craft both humbling and heartbreaking. My gaze flicked to the paramedic's face, willing him to see beyond the broken body before him, to recognize the spark of life that still burned within me. Time blurred as they carefully extricated me from the wreckage. The world outside the car was a blur of flashing lights and hushed voices. I was lifted onto a stretcher, the movement jostling my injured body and sending waves of agony through me. I tried to focus on the paramedics' faces, to convey the urgency of my situation through the intensity of my gaze, but my eyes felt heavy, my vision growing dim as the pain and exhaustion threatened to pull me under. The world faded to black as they loaded me into the ambulance, the sirens wailing in a frantic rhythm. The journey to the hospital was a blur of lights and sounds, a disjointed symphony that underscored the gravity of the situation. As I lay in the sterile hospital room, monitors blinking and medical personnel moving in a coordinated dance around me, a profound sense of frustration settled over me. I was a prisoner within my own body, a silent observer of a world that continued to spin beyond my reach. Family and friends gathered at my bedside, their voices a mixture of concern and hope. I watched as tears were shed and hands were held, a tapestry of emotions woven around me. I longed to reassure them, to let them know that I was still here, that I hadn't given up. Days turned into weeks, and the world outside my hospital room window changed with the turning of the seasons. I listened to the voices of those who cared for me, their stories and laughter a bittersweet reminder of the life I had been forcibly separated from. Physical therapy became a grueling routine, each small victory hard-fought and celebrated. My determination to move, to communicate, never wavered. I clung to the hope that one day I would break free from the prison of silence that had held me captive. And then, one day, a miracle, a flicker of movement in my hand. It was small, imperceptible to anyone but me, but it was a sign, a glimmer of hope that I clung to like a lifeline. Through sheer determination and unyielding perseverance, I relearned how to move my fingers, how to blink, how to communicate with the world that had nearly forgotten me. With the help of cutting-edge technology, I slowly bridged the gap between my thoughts and the outside world. As I typed out my first message, a wave of gratitude and relief washed over me. The words appeared on the screen in front of me, simple yet profound. "I'm here." The room was filled with hushed gasps and tears as those around me realized the significance of those two words. The battle was far from over, but the tide had turned. With each passing day, I regained more control over my body, more agency over my life. The world that had once been a silent prison had become a canvas of possibilities. I vowed to make the most of every moment, to never take for granted the beauty and fragility of existence. Trapped in that suffocating silence, I had discovered the depth of my own resilience, the power of hope, and the unbreakable bonds that connected me to the world around me. And as I typed out my thoughts, as I forged a path of my own making, I realized that the voice I had fought so desperately to reclaim had been within me all along,